Now on CoastTV News.
Munchie Branch mess.
It's busy, which makes it dangerous.
Construction on a Rehoboth road meant to help long term, but neighbors say it's hurting right now.
Georgetown growth.
How do you keep up with it?
The town tackling development in the county seat.
Tariff trouble.
We're trying to hold out to see if we can ride it out.
Local businesses feeling unsteady as some tariffs pause and others escalate.
This is CoastTV News at 6.
Road work and safety problems. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. Welcome to our News at 6. We begin tonight with neighbors upset on Munchie Branch Road. On your screen now is Munchie Branch Road in Rehoboth Beach, just off of Coastal Highway.
And now on your screen is the street view of this road, only one lane in use for traffic going one way. On top of the one-way traffic, neighbors in the area say there's not clear enough signs about all of that work. Coast TV News reporter Brandon Ferguson is live in Rehoboth. And Brandon, you've seen close calls out there already today.
Maddie, this is an entrance to a neighborhood off of Munchie Branch Road. And when I spoke to people that live in this neighborhood and leave it every day, they're having problems seeing through these barricades into oncoming traffic. And another problem they're having is construction equipment heading the wrong way on this one way. Driving on Munchie Branch Road has never been this unsafe and frustrating for neighbors that use it every day.
I do shut my blinds because it's too much for me to watch sometimes.
Construction crews are putting in sidewalks and elements to fix flooding, which is a good thing in theory, but Hallie Conford-Jones says the work itself is causing problems.
Not just me, but some of my neighbors as well have been involved in, I want to call it a head-on, but where cars meet here on the road, and then people don't have anywhere to go to move over safely on the one-way. They're clearly driving the wrong way. And again, I attribute that to the lack of signage.
On your screen now is a backhoe going the wrong way. Neighbors in Aspen Meadows wanted to stress it's not just them in danger coming out of their neighborhood. There's also multiple neighborhoods in the area and also the construction workers themselves that are in danger. Coast TV reached out to DelDOT about these neighbors' complaints. DelDOT says they were unaware but is reaching out to the contractor. Jackie Goff lives in Rehoboth part-time and says the last time she was here, roadwork signs were different and no new ones were put in their place, leaving her confused.
Just the sooner they can do this, the better, because to think about it, it's busy, which makes it dangerous. It's not a little country road, it's a through street.
According to DelDOT, this work is expected to be completed in May. When I was here earlier today setting up those interviews, I saw myself firsthand 2 cars having to slam on the brakes because of construction equipment heading the wrong way on Munchie Branch Road. Live in Rehoboth Beach, Brandon Ferguson, Coast TV News.
And nearby, DelDOT wants your input on planned upgrades to Plantation Road. You're looking at Plantation Road now. This would pick up where Phase 1 left off. The project still in early design. Plans include 2 roundabouts, turn lanes, curbs, and bike and walking paths. A public meeting is Tuesday, April 15th at 4 p.m.
Georgetown's Town Council and Planning Commission met this evening for a workshop on infrastructure and development projects. The town manager says this meeting is not to make decisions on housing. He says it's for town leadership to come together and review what does and doesn't work for Georgetown as it moves forward.
Timing's actually pretty good for us as the town will be entering into the 5-year mark on its comprehensive plan. So we'll be doing our 5-year review. So this will be good input to that and then lead ultimately to the full participation from the public.
The workshop is being held at First State Community Action Agency in Georgetown. If you're there, you might be able to make it. It goes till 6:30.
This brings us to our Coast TV poll this evening. We want to know what concerns you most about development in Georgetown.
Let's take a look at the updated results from last news hour. Take a look at your screen. 66% say traffic, 15% say overcrowded schools, 15% say losing open space, rising costs get 4%.
If you haven't voted yet, you can still do it. Go to CoastTV.com or use the Coast TV mobile app. We will show you updated results on Coast TV News at 11.
Sussex County trying to better tackle land use and growth. The newly formed Land Use Reform Working Group met for the second time today. With various voices such as environmental advocates, affordable housing experts, attorneys, and a farmer. Today, the group looked at 5 goals given to them by council, including preventing low-density development in unincorporated areas and ensuring growth is supported by infrastructure. The group's facilitator says we're still in the idea phase, and the most important thing is listening to these various viewpoints.
I think gaining that understanding will put us in a position to come up with some hopefully really effective recommendations. I think if we tried to rush this process too quickly, it would be ripe for some issues, but I think we're going at a good pace, and I feel pretty confident we'll get to a good outcome.
Later this summer, the reform group will present recommendations to County Council, at which point Council can act upon and choose to make changes when it comes to land use here in Sussex.
Since they were enacted, we've been covering the tariffs in the U.S. and here on Delmarva. President Trump has paused tariffs on many countries, but hiked imports from China up to 125%. As CoastTV News reporter Emma Aiken shows us, some local businesses say they're stuck in limbo.
Brandy Bailey organizing video games. She owns Game On Video Games and More in Rehoboth Beach. Nearly the entire store is filled with products from China, Mexico, and Japan. And she says since tariffs started, it hasn't been good news from those distributors. They just announced to us yesterday that they're going to be raising their prices, so we're trying to hold out to see if we can ride it out so that we don't have to raise prices is honestly what we're trying to do. Bailey says the tariffs will make it harder for certain pieces to get shipped over, and that's a struggle for small businesses in general, whereas a larger company may have more resources to buffer a tariff. For Rehoboth Breeze co-owner John Riley Spillane, they get a lot of their clothes from overseas too, but he says after the election, they took a gamble that paid off.
We actually over-ordered in anticipation of tariffs going into effect, and that they may be impacting the cost of the goods that we purchase from our vendors.
Businesses we've spoken to over the past week tell CoastTV the current tariff situation is full of unknowns. While it's too early to tell what will happen, they say it is having an impact right now. So I know ideally production should be happening in the U.S. in order to support the U.S. economy, but that takes decades to build. In Rehoboth Beach, Emma Aiken, CoastTV News.
The federal government is calling for a partial dismissal of a lawsuit between Ocean City and the Bureau of Energy Management. Ocean City and other co-plaintiffs are arguing the approval of U.S. Wind's plans for turbines off Delmarva's coast went against several federal regulations. Court records show the feds are asking for 2 of the 8 claims to be dropped. They're citing a similar offshore wind lawsuit in Rhode Island, in which the judge granted the same dismissal. And speaking of Ocean City, let's look live out there right now as we turn it over to our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams with a look at our forecast.
Well, we do see off of the shore that we still have somewhat gusty conditions for us because we actually are under a small craft advisory along the shoreline. So we're bracing for about 25-mile-per-hour winds, still staying a bit active for us and blustery. Now, a wider view is showing that we have a decent slice of rain that's slowly migrating its way towards us. Now, it's going to take until tomorrow, well, late tonight to tomorrow to reach us. And when it arrives, it's just going to hover around for a long period of time. But for Friday, we're looking for rain, periods of rain, afternoon, light, heavy at times with an inch in some spots. And then for the weekend, we're watching out for damp and raw conditions, and they'll start improving ever so slowly and slightly by the time we get to Sunday. We'll have more on your full forecast coming up. Till then, back to you.
Thank you, Paul. The challenges facing Delaware were front and center today as Governor Matt Meyer delivered his first State of the State address in Dover. CoastTV News reporter and anchor Christina DeRobertis is in the newsroom with details. Christina, the governor focusing a lot on housing, health care, and education.
Yes, Charlie, the governor did focus a lot on those topics. He also talked a lot about how what's happening in Washington, D.C. impacts us here at home. Now, on housing, the governor says housing costs are at crisis levels right now, and he's planning on signing an executive order to revive Delaware's Interagency Council on Homelessness. Governor Meyer also outlining plans to address Delaware's healthcare workforce crisis, trying to attract more doctors and nurses here, especially in Kent and Sussex counties. And as a former teacher, Meyer always focuses a lot on education. He's pushing for legislation to get cell phones out of schools, but also says a new funding formula is needed most.
We cannot ask our schools to prepare our students for the future with a funding model from the 1940s. Our students have waited long enough for a system that will help each of them achieve their full potential. That's why I'm calling on the legislature to pass a holistic funding reform framework before you begin summer vacation this year. Let's get this done.
And the governor also says he is committed to unblocking delays in launching the state's recreational marijuana market. He says he plans to name a new marijuana commissioner in the coming days. Back to you guys.
Christina, thank you. Republican lawmakers responding following the governor's address. Senator Dave Wilson in the Lincoln area says the governor should have focused more on farms.
I was a little concerned what was mentioned about agriculture. It's our number one industry. No, we don't have the funding, but if we've got any funding that we can direct towards our number one industry, I think it's a time to take a serious look.
Much more on this story online. And speaking of online, you can sign up for our Feel Good Friday newsletter. It's a recap of all the fun things going on the coast and also things you can do this weekend and more. Just sign up right now at coasttv.com/sign up or use that QR code on your screen. And we are just getting started this evening.
The Ocean City Ferris wheel is up a big step towards summer.
And we could be in for a windy and rainy weekend. I'll show you what I'm tracking coming up.
But first, protecting the history of ocean pines, how homeowners coming together to make a difference. That's up next when we're back in just 60 seconds.
Time flies, and if you don't take a little time to commemorate the good moments, those memories can fade away. In today's Coastal Connections, reporter Kevin Zappe shows us how one group in Ocean Pines is trying to keep history alive in their community.
Inside the Ocean Pines Administration Building is a room dedicated to sorting through the history of the community. Elaine Brady and Jenny Cropper-Ryan spend hours volunteering to sort everything out.
We're sort of at a crossroads where the history is going to be gone if we don't do something with it.
The Ocean Pines Historical Task Force started 9 months ago and has around a dozen local volunteers working and sorting through hundreds of pictures showcasing the town's past. And through these images, you can see everything from the transformation of the canals in 1969 to the start of the yacht club, which is now a staple to the community and even has a handcrafted model boat created by an Ocean Pines local in 1955. Other before and after pictures include the golf club building and the Ocean Pines Beach Club in Ocean City, something Brady says is an important spot for the community to meet.
People are very, very active and very friendly because they've come from all over, and so they want to make new friendships here.
If you're looking to dive into the rich history of Ocean Pines right now, there's currently a book you could buy for $20 that will show you how things changed over the 30-year span from 1968 to 1998. And plans for another book are in the works.
I think the biggest thing that we'll be looking at is to do a coffee table book. That's something that people have a lot of interest in, and it's an easy way to learn about Ocean Pines from the beginning to the present.
According to Brady, the new Ocean Pines book is still in the early stages, so you'll have to wait around 2 years to pick up that one and read, which gives you enough time to read the current Ocean Pines book that's out now. I'm Kevin Zappe in Ocean Pines, Coast TV News.
This weekend expected to stay cloudy, clammy, windy, and a bit rainy. All those Y's include everything except, well, sunny. Sorry, that's how we're rolling this time around. Listen, our Bay Health camera in Milford right now, we have thick cloud cover that's over us at this present time, and we're at about 46 degrees. Now, we're going to stay in the mid-40s for the rest of this evening in Milford specifically, with increasing cloud cover at 9 and 10 o'clock. In fact, we may go up a couple of degrees, occasionally just kind of oscillate between the two as a result of the thick cloud cover in place. In addition to that, we have somewhat breezy conditions already kicking in. We have a gale wind watch in effect until Saturday. So when we're talking about a gale wind watch, this is talking about 30 to 35 mile per hour winds. So very blustery for us. Dewey Beach, Ocean View, Rehoboth, as well as Fenwick Island. Then we have what's called a small craft advisory in effect for Ocean City down towards Chincoteague. Now the difference between these two, up here we're talking about 35 mile per hour winds. Down here we're talking about 25 mile per hour winds. So the difference between the two, about 10 miles per hour. So that's the difference. By the way, we also have a small craft advisory in effect for the folks that are in Cambridge right now. And once again, these are isolated gusts that will happen throughout a good portion of the day. What's on the horizon for us is this right here. All this green you see is dealing with a decent slice of rain that's going to actually get a bit fatter, the best, easiest way I can put it for you. It's going to get fatter and wider as it moves across the Delmarva Peninsula. And because these storm systems have been moving so slow or sluggish, it's going to have an opportunity to dump a little more rain than, let's say, this type of system would typically do. What's going to happen is there's a low pressure system that's going to settle down just off of the coast for us, and the counterclockwise rotation is going to bring in an influx of additional moisture coming right off of the water. You know, wind goes across the water and it picks up a little more moisture on the way in. Well, that's what's going to help to enhance the chances of rain for us Friday and Saturday. So you see, Friday by noon, we're looking at embedded cells along Highway 50 and 24. And then as we progress a little bit more, by Friday afternoon, we could see some isolated thunderstorms if that continues to be the case for us. Now, for the most southern portion of our viewing area, we're looking for that same situation, and then it'll begin to die out for us by 7:30. Temperatures staying in the 50s, really not escalating by much. Now, the amount of rain that we're concerned for, possibly nearly 2 inches for us actually in Millsboro, 1.25 inches for us in Georgetown. We'll see if it continues to work out that way. Finally, here's a look at the extended forecast.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
A tradition unlike any other has returned for the 89th time. The Masters Tournament began this morning down in Augusta, Georgia. Golf's most hallowed tournament runs through this weekend. Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and Tom Watson teed off with a ceremonial drive. World number one Scottie Scheffler returns as the defending champion. He can tie Gary Player with his third green jacket this weekend. You golf fans can watch the action right on WBOC this Saturday and Sunday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Streaming is currently available on ESPN and ESPN+. And the Shorebirds look to continue their winning ways tonight against Fayetteville. Delmarva opened its home slate with a 3-2 win last night over the Woodpeckers. Evan Yates struck out 8 batters over 4 innings in the start, and the Shorebirds scored 3 in the fourth to win it. Delmarva is currently in the midst of a doubleheader tonight. Our next Shorebirds broadcast is next homestand when Delmarva hosts the Augusta Green Jackets on April 22nd. Today we are at Lake Forest and Sussex Academy in girls soccer. You can catch the highlights of that one on DSN tonight at 10:30. We've also got highlights from 4 more games coming your way later on. That is for sports.
You know, summer is right around the corner when you see the Ocean City Ferris wheel. Trimpers is setting up for its yearly Ferris wheel for vacationers and locals to enjoy near the inlet, Paul.
Well, it's the unofficial start of summer. From a meteorological standpoint, I have to stand firm on the actual meteorological, but you know what? Yeah, summer's around the corner. Let's go with that. Listen, Lewis, at a tunnel razor camera, we're looking at 48 degrees. We'll drop down to 47 with mostly cloudy skies. Our umbrella giveaway, Greg Salem of Millsboro. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Brugstead, Mandelis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your 10-day forecast. Oh, man, I wish we had summertime temperatures to enjoy, but it's going to stay a bit chilly, clammy, and cold and windy Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A little better on Monday, then we go back to being a little bit on the cool side for next week.
Paul, thank you, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 6.
More news, more local weather. Download our Coast TV News app.
The NBC Nightly News is up next.
And we're going to see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 11. Have a great evening.